Entering this summer after ending the longest absence of any team in the 2018 World Cup, Peru, La Blanquirroja, Los Incas, the Incas, have returned to the World Cup. This will be their first since 1982 in Spain. By the bare skin of their teeth, Peru finished with 26 points, 27 goals scored, and 26 conceded for a goal difference of +1, putting them level on points with biggest rivals Chile, but ahead through superior goal difference. Even though Peru lost both games against their arch rivals, home and away, in qualifying. It looked like it was going to be the same story all over again for Peru when they started off the 2018 cycle, collecting only 4 points from their first 6 games. That's 4 points of an available 24. But somehow, they managed to rally late on, not losing any of their last 5 games and picking up crucial results such as 2 home victories against Uruguay and Bolivia, and important draws on the road against Venezuela and a struggling Argentina team, all before capping off a draw at home to Colombia where they came from behind, equalizing off of an own goal free kick. By the slimmest of margins, Peru were through to the 5th-placed playoff against the team from Oceania, which was New Zealand, and after a tenuous, shaky first leg that ended 0-0 in Wellington, Peru got their act together and closed out with a 2-0 victory on aggregate, which proved to be the last match in the world for 2018 World Cup qualification and the 32nd spot booked in Russia. In the last several years, Peru has punched above their own weight in regional tournaments, such as the Copa America, where in 2011 and in 2015, they both had third-placed bronze medal finishes, and a decent run in the 2016 Copa America, where they finished in the quarterfinals but went out on penalties. That tournament included a famous victory over Brazil in the group stage. Before the 2016 Copa America, Peru essentially had 1 foot out of Russia because of their abysmal start to their campaign. In stark contrast to another South American rival, Ecuador, who had 4 wins from 4 and had 1 foot in Russia prior to the tournament beginning. And as we all know, Ecuador closed out horribly in the exact opposite way as Peru, and they are not in Russia 2018. It is my belief that the managerial change and Ricardo Gareca, the Argentine, being brought in at the helm of the 2016 Copa America and onward, revamped this team's confidence and put in place a system that worked and played to Peru's strengths. Because immediately after that tournament, Peru's performance in qualification and the points that they were picking up drastically improved and allowed them to go on to eventually secure qualification. They are in a group with France, Australia, and Denmark, and it is very likely that the opening match against Denmark will be the decisive one, as it determines who finishes in a top 2 position in the group, and even more likely, in the 2nd position behind France. They benefit from the fact that they play Australia in their last match, but Australia is no pushovers, so there's a little bit of weary factor here involved for Peru, but it is more ideal given that Denmark close out against favorites Les Bleus. I do expect this to be a France 2014 type of situation, where in France's group in 2014, the match between the 2 second-placed favorites, Switzerland and Ecuador, proved to be the most crucial fixture in that group, as it ultimately decided who went through to the next round, and that was Switzerland. I do think Peru-Denmark will be a mirror image of that game in Brazil 2014. Key players for Peru include goalkeeper Pedro Galisi, Christian Cueva, Yoshimar Yotun, Renato Tapia, Raul Rui Diaz, Edson Flores, an older but still useful Jefferson Farfan, and unfortunately I cannot include Paulo Guerrero on this list because his ban was extended. However, a reminder needs to be enforced that when a team loses their star player heading into a major tournament, it usually does one of either two things. It impacts their play, or it galvanizes them to rise to the occasion. And in this case, I'm leaning towards the latter for Peru, with one very big reason why. And that reason is, when you look at their performance in their playoff against New Zealand, Paulo Guerrero's absence was very noted, because in Peru, their creativity going forward was stifled. They could not get past the All Whites in the first leg, and it took a very nerve-wracking performance in front of thousands of home fans in the Estadio Nacional de Lima to put them into the World Cup. But since then, in the March international window, Peru put on a couple of really impressive performances, dominating performances against the likes of Iceland and Croatia. And Paulo Guerrero was not there for that. Instead, we saw Raul Rui Diaz and Edson Flores step up and show themselves to be viable alternative outlets for Peru going forward. Combine that with the fact that Peru are undefeated in at least 12 of their last fixtures, and I think they're going to be just fine. I mentioned before the manager Ricardo Gareca and why I like him, and that's because he has a very positive relationship with the players. They believe in him and the way that he has them set up. The mood in the camp is high. And according to Gareca himself, this team eats almost every meal with each other. So there is a great sense of fraternity among these players as they head into the tournament for the first time with the weight of the legendary Teofilo Cubillas weighing on their shoulders, giving a nation a reason to dream again.